Hey y'all, it's Crafty Hope here, and I am working on combining these three elements into an assemblage. And I didn't know what I was going to call it or exactly where it was going to go, but this was part of my 100-day project, which I was doing assemblages. And I'm just now trying to catch up with it. I think I'm done with 100-day project now. Is that right? I don't even know. I'm still in the middle of it while I'm voicing this over, but I did this assemblage months ago to me. And so going through it, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I did that and all of that. So, um, I want to let you know this is broken down into a lot of little parts because really that's all this was a lot of little things coming together. So I started with this doll head, which is just a doll from the Dollar Tree that I took the head off. In fact, that box is from the Dollar Tree too. I think it had a lid on it with a butterfly or something on it, but I just wanted the box. So I've got this doll head and I've cut her hair down a little bit, and I didn't know what I was going to do next, y'all, really. I just knew that I didn't want her in the form she was in. So I'm making a big old mess getting that plastic hair everywhere. I mean, I kind of wish I had found maybe one from the thrift store instead, but I've not had great luck with the thrift store lately. Um, so I'm looking at her and trying to figure out, what we're going to do. And yeah, this is probably the longest portion you're going to see. Everything else is cut into tiny little snippets because a lot of this stuff is repetitive. So this is some Waverly chalk paint in white. I'll have a link to it below if I can find it on Amazon. And I've decided to go ahead and paint her hair white. I think I wanted just a base for it. And so yeah, that's where I'm going. And I took that bit of foil off the top, and since there was paint on it, I'm just gonna rub it in there. Yep, rubbing that in her hair using my fingers. I go ahead also and paint her face with the chalk paint. I decided I didn't like her eyes really. They found, well, no, see, I'm rubbing it off her eyes because I thought I was going to keep them, but later on I'm going to decide I don't like them. So I did a couple coats of that chalk paint on her and then decided to go ahead and paint this box. And so I'm going to paint the inside all the way and then the outside. I don't paint the back now. I come back later and paint the back. Now, I haven't mentioned the third element I'm using in this, and that is, that's a lamp off, it's probably a ceiling fan or some other kind of light fixture. I found it at the Habitat Restore a while ago. If I can find the Thrifty Thursday that I had that one, I'll put a link in the upper right for it. But next, I'm bringing in some different dilutions sprays to do her hair. I have this mica spray that I thought I was going to do because I wanted the sparkle, but it just didn't give me any color. So I bring this, I think, a fuchsia in first, and then I'll bring a purple in later. And I end up getting it on her face. And this dilution stuff, I'll go ahead and warn you, once it gets on something, it's kind of on it, but it is water soluble, so it moves quite a bit. So I just grab my paintbrush and I'm just going to go ahead and paint her hair and basically dye it with ink on top of that chalk paint. Like I said, I think I had 2 coats of the chalk paint on there. And oh y'all, do you see how precious I'm trying to be with this? It helps later, kind of. We'll see. You'll see what happens here. If you've seen the picture at the beginning or some of my pictures on Instagram when I revealed this, you know that she is not staying this way. So, I got some of that, and I think I decided it was a little too pink for me, so this is when I grabbed the purple, and I'm going to do the same thing and just paint that on her hair. Now, a lot of these things that I'm showing you I end up undoing or redoing. I cut some of this down because it is repetitive, but if you have any questions or need more details about things I did, don't hesitate to ask. And I think at some point here, I guess I decided to go ahead and color her face because I had gotten enough on it that it didn't matter. So I've got that, I sprayed that fuchsia on there, couldn't get the purple to spray. And yeah, I'm using a baby wipe, which is kind of wiping it all off. So I'm also bringing in, I don't even know what that is, a paper towel or some kind of cloth or something to just rub that around. Oh goodness, y'all. This was a whole wild ride. It was such an experiment. I love, love, love my results. But yeah. All right, so here I decided I really was not loving her face. It was too plastic. So I decided to paint over her whole face with some purple acrylic paint. And I do 2 coats of it. And I come back and it is too shiny and awful and I hate it. And that was the big thumbs down. So I grabbed that chalk paint and I'm going to go over her face with the chalk paint because it just wasn't feeling. So all of these assemblages have been experiments for me. I guess all of art is an experiment for me. Every last bit of it, I want to see what I can do and what happens when I try different things. And if it works, yay. And if it doesn't, okay, lesson learned. That's what life is, really. If something doesn't work, that is a lesson learned. I try to tell my nieces that all the time. Okay, then you learn something new. So I put this chalk paint on her face. I think I'm going to go ahead and bring it into her hair in a second. We're going to see. I know I put 2 coats of the chalk paint on her face, but yeah, I think, yep, I decided to go ahead and do her hair because it felt just too dark. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in there. And y'all, that ink, like I said, that Dilutions ink is so water soluble. The chalk paint really didn't do a whole lot, and that's why I had to go and do the 2nd coat. So, and I'm showing you, yeah, such an easy process. I did, and y'all, if you don't like it messy, maybe, yeah, do different things. I hope here, yeah, I'm showing you that 2nd coat because you see that purple, it got pushed back a little, but especially in the hair, it did not really do much to the hair. But I want to make sure that that purple in the face is long gone. So, yeah, I went over it again. I thought I had cut this out, but I guess not. All right. Oh, y'all, it's storming out here right now, and so it's a perfect time for me to be recording this. All right, so that's my 2 coats on there, and something made me decide to pull out the clear Crackle paste. This is I think it's Prima's clear Crackle paste, and I've got, y'all, that's part of a silicone thing I cut apart so I would have smaller, more delicate silicone things. It's really too floppy for me. I'll have to find something else, but I'm using that to spread this Crackle paste onto her face because I wanted it pretty thick on there so I could get some really nice crackles to show up, and I'll show you here in a second what it looks like. This Crackle paste, even though it's clear, works a lot like other Crackle paste. Where it's thicker, you're going to get bigger crackles, and where it's thinner, you get smaller crackles. And I do leave it to air dry because that is the best way to work with Crackle paste. But the way this dried, y'all, it's pretty awesome. It's way better than I even expected. So yeah, I'm spreading it as best as I can. I didn't want it in her hair much. I just wanted it on her face and like her ear some. And I'm not worried about the back of her head because I knew that would be at the back of the box. So while she's sitting over there to the side crackling, I pull out this gold acrylic paint, and I don't know what I'm doing there, but I decided to paint the whole inside of the box, not the outside at all, but just the inside. There must have been something chunky in there. Yeah. So I'm going to paint the whole inside and sides of this box because, yeah, I thought the gold would help reflect some of the light and maybe the depth of it. And I did 2 coats of that. And then decided to bring in this, what is it? It's a metal ribbon. I found it at the Dollar Tree. Y'all have not seen it since. It was something I've never seen before. I picked up like 4 rolls of it. I'm so glad I did. But this is the only thing I've used it on so far. But I cut a piece. I measured it. You saw around my distress sprayer. And I'm making her a little crown with it. And I'm not going to alter it. I decided I'm going to just leave it in that metallic color. And I grab my E6000 because I love it, and I put it on to that metal ribbon, I think is what they called it at the Dollar Tree. I may be able to find a link to it or something. We'll see. And I am making sure it overlaps so that it has plenty of room to grab itself. So once I put it together, I was like, y'all, I can't sit here and hold this. What am I going to do? Because I'll end up gluing my fingers together. So I grab a little chip clip thing just like that to hold it together while it dries. And then I go in and y'all, oh, the next thing was I wanted to drill some holes. I decided for some reason to make some wire loops around the outside of this box, and I wanted 3 of them to give lots of depth since this box is really deep. So I measured out where I wanted the 3 lines of wire, just like this, and then I will go in and I'm going to cut some of this out, and I'm going to do it on 3 sides, the top and the 2 sides, not the bottom, since I knew I wanted that lampshade as my base. And then I kind of figured out where I wanted my marks. Now, I didn't show you me figuring out the marks because that took forever. But then I went into my husband's wood shop, and he and I worked together. Mostly I did it. It's like one of my most popular reels on Instagram, actually. I may put a link to it below. And use the drill press to drill the holes where I had made the marks. So I did that, and y'all saw I scraped out some of the wood because this is a cheap box from the Dollar Tree, so it's splintered a little. So I sanded everything down, got it smooth again, and I'm going to repaint the inside and the outside of this box. Now, I did erase some of the, I think you can see there, some of the pencil marks I had made. I erased them with an eraser, but I repainted the gold on the inside and the white on the outside. So I could have done those steps, I suppose, after, but it's done now, whatever. And then I used a toothpick to go back in to repoke my holes so that I could see them and so they weren't too clogged up with paint. And now I'm coming in with the fiddly part. I'm only going to show you most of one line of this, but I've got some 20 gauge dark annealed steel wire. This is something from the hardware store, and I'm making a little bit of a swirl, and then I'm going to bend it like perpendicular with the wire, so that it becomes like a head to it. And then I'll start in the inside toward the back of the box. I thought about this because I knew if I started toward the front, I might not be able to get to the back. And I'm glad I did this. And so I'm going to pull that all the way through and basically weave, y'all. This is why I measured these. I'm using different things on my desk to get kind of the curves of the loops that I want. And I will tell you, this became so fiddly. I know that this first line of it took me at least 20 minutes, if not more, to do because I didn't have enough wire and I had to come back through, and I'll show you that in a minute. But these are all the lines I had to mark. I had to mark where my entrance holes and my exit holes were, and so that was all of my measuring, was where I wanted the loops to be and where I wanted the holes to be. It was intense. And y'all, look, my wire's back there hitting my poor little doll head. So I'm making these loops. I was trying to be so careful, and like you saw me use that little tube of paint to kind of make the curve right. And y'all, in the end, I really like them kind of wonky and different. So I'm messing with that. I think I'm going to show you one more of me weaving. See, I'm putting that tube in there, trying to make it all nice and neat. Oh, y'all, perfection is not for me. I'm glad I got the holes drilled where I got them, but I just cannot be perfect like that and keep everything, I guess so. Oh, I keep saying perfect, but very concise. I'm not good with that. Now, on the inside of this, some of the wire, it's not flat on the inside because the wire just didn't want to bend that way, and that's fine. I wanted some of that texture on the inside of the box as well. So I was trying to have little loops on the inside too. Some of that I'll take out when I have to go back through. So, and the corners were especially tricky, y'all. I will tell you that much. So here's where I get toward the end of this first line, and Y'all, that was all the wire I had left. I did not have enough wire to finish it. So I'm going to go in and start making my loops a little bit smaller, and especially on the inside, not leaving as much on the inside. And I've got all my jewelry tools pulled up to help me hold wire and, yeah, grasp all of that. So it got real fiddly, but I definitely learned to make sure. And it's such a weird thing, y'all. When I'm making jewelry, I almost always have more wire than I need. And for some reason, for this project, I did not. So I'm a little upset with myself to not use my mantra of I'd rather have too much than not enough when it comes to wire. I don't know. So I worked my way around and finally got enough wire to make my final loop, and then my battery died. So to finish this, once I get my final loop done, I just made another little twirl, and I think I may have just made a little line there because I didn't have enough to make a twirl. But I'm using more of those chip clips to hold my loops open. So I'm using the back of the chip clips to get the tension from that, because otherwise the wire on the inside wasn't sticking to the inside of the box. Like there wasn't enough tension. And then I did the other two lines of wire. So I love, love, love the floral, like, I don't know, it's like a flower or something to me that I don't know. I really, really love this box. So while I was scraping away with the wire and my pliers and all that, I scraped off more of that gold paint. So I'm going back in and touching it up. And I had asked my husband, and I thought I was going to use clothespins, y'all, to make a frame for that, but it just didn't work. And I asked my husband to help me make a little frame for the front of this. And y'all, he went ahead and did it for me, so I can't tell you how I did this. I was going to film it and everything, but before I knew it and could get out there, he already had it made for me. So I've got this little wood frame he made, and I've got some folk art antiquing wax that I'm just painting on it to darken it up, and then I'll wipe the excess off, and that just kind of stains it a little bit, gets it, I don't know, makes it look more professional to me somehow. So I'm just showing you it's super messy, and I just get it on there and wipe it off. No biggie. And I did it to the front and the back because I knew some of the back of the frame would show in the final product. So like I said, this whole project's lots of little bitty steps. The wire was the big step. So now I want to go ahead and glue on my lampshade base, and I am using my E6000 again and putting that straight onto the lampshade, and then I'm going to just put my box on top and let gravity be my weight. So I'm going to keep it up and down like this to dry, and I think I left it, overnight or several hours. And then once it was dry, I came in with a little bit of Lucas acrylic paint and titanium white, and I'm touching up the box where some of the wire scraped when I was doing the wire. So this gets a little fiddly too, but I'll show you. I'm not going to show you all of it. Like I said, this video is long enough. We still have another 8 minutes of it. So I am touching this up, going around all of these little bits of wire. I think I did get a little bit of paint on the wire, but to me that's, it's part of the rustic charm of handmade things. Now once it's done, I decided I wanted the transition between the box and the lampshade to feel, to feel more cohesive, to feel like a better transition, like it was all one thing and not two separate things. So I'm using some white tissue paper and Mod Podge to just create this transition. I think this will also kind of help the stableness of this so that it's more than just the E6000 holding it together. It's also got, that tissue that's now bonded there. So, and this is something I've seen Ina Salisbury do with some of her work to make these transitions. Now the lampshade also, I don't know if you can see, but the back of it sticks up just a little bit in the back. But I made sure it did in the back and not in the front. So that was a big thing for me. So while I'm adding all this, I am going to go up the whole back of this box with the tissue paper just to kind of give it some more interest. I did paint it with later. I don't think I put it in here, but I painted it with the chalk paint, with that white chalk paint. And I'm going to go up this whole back of it and the whole bottom of it. So the places where there's not wire or gold paint or a frame on this box got this tissue paper just for texture. So I put several layers of it down because it makes such a cool texture. So, and I don't know why I'm going on and on showing you this, but it is. It is what it is. Have you heard that there's some phrases like it is what it is, and gosh, there's a couple others like that are just what do they call them? Conversation enders. That when somebody says that there's nothing else you can add to it. I'm trying to think of other examples of it, but I can't think what they are. Anyway, so once I got all the tissue down, I went ahead and painted it with more of that white acrylic paint just to make it all very consistent. And I think the Mod Podge I used might have been the shiny, and I didn't want it to be super shiny. So, and where it is on the lampshade, it's kind of transparent. And anyway, I'm just making it all a little more consistent with some white paint covering up. Yeah, I don't think I went that high, but I guess I'm still correcting some of the other stuff that's showing on there. Oh, I could have clipped this shorter, y'all. But I know y'all tell me all the time that you don't care if I have it too long or not. All right, so I'm coming back to my doll, and I have found this. It's some kind of weird little button thing. It doesn't have like buttonholes. It has like a slit, but it worked great. It fit on the bottom of her head perfect, which gave her a little bit of rise above the frame that I put in there, and it just a little added texture or something that I thought would be neat in this assemblage. So I'm using my E6000 to glue it, and I think it's just a little plastic piece, in fact. So I'm getting that, and I'm going to go ahead and glue her crown on as well. So I fiddle with this for a while, and I'm going to have a freeze frame here in a minute of how I ended up attaching her crown to her head, because really the only thing there to hold that crown on is hair, and that's not really substantial in any way. So, and there's just not a whole lot of surface area between that crown and between that. So here I used a little washer to attach that to her actual head and the crown. So that's what's holding it on. Again, because it's going to be at the back of the box, nobody will ever know except you and me. And then I am adding the E6000 to the bottom of that button thing, mostly in the back. So if it seeps in the back. And as you can see, I'm also adding it to the back of her head, so I can just push her in there. And there's lots of different surfaces holding her head in there. So, and I let that dry, and then have come in with some wood glue, and I'm going to glue my frame to the front of my box. Now, I'm using wood glue really, and as my husband tells me, ideally you would put it on untreated surfaces, so surfaces that have not been painted or sealed with something, because the glue, the wood glue is best on wood that is untreated, something like that. Like if it's wood to wood, it's a better adhesion than like paint to paint. Does that make sense? So, and I had some trouble. This is some wood glue. It's good wood glue. It's Gorilla wood glue. I've had it for too long, and it's starting to clump up on me. So I'm trying to make the most of it and get it out of that bottle. I may have to put it, I don't know. It works. I'll tell you this much. Once I get this frame on there, it is fine. It is not going anywhere. I'm just trying to get it out of the bottle. All right, so then I figure out which is my front, my back, my top, and my bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and stick that on. I do a lot of pressing and all of that. And I'm going to end up putting it down again so that gravity can make sure it holds. So I'm going to get it right where I want it and leave it like that to dry. And this is my last thing, y'all. I decided I did not like that stark white of the that tissue paper thing that I had done. And so I've got some gold paint and some different shades of like brown and taupe that I'm going to mix together and try to fix it. It doesn't do a whole lot. But it made me feel better that it wasn't just the stark white. So I'm going to, maybe I should have crackled it or something else. I'm trying to make a color that looks like that fun color of that lampshade, but I don't know. So I'm going to paint all of that in just the neck portion, not the back, not the whole underside of the box. I'm going to paint that, and then I'm going to be done with this. Y'all, I love this final product. I hope you did too. If you've stuck in with this whole thing, I really appreciate it. Let me know if you have any questions, and if you like it, make sure to hit that like button and the subscribe button. And I'm hoping to finish up. I've got 4 more of those 100-day project assemblages that I did and haven't shared on here yet. So if you're liking these, let me know, because I've got more coming. So I guess whether you like them or not, I'm probably going to be sharing them. So, all right, y'all. I will see y'all later with more art of some kind. And thanks for watching. Bye.